Hello, we're back in the studio. It's Sharon Hurst here, and I'd like to say thank you for joining me again. Today I'd like to introduce you to a video that I recorded live for Facebook, and it's something a little different, so I thought that maybe you might like to see it here as well as a dedicated video. I'm going to paint a dragon's eye, and this time use many different media. I thought that it would be something a little more interesting, ringing the changes and mixing things up. Therefore I will be using in the main acrylic, and we will be using gesso for texture, gilding flakes, silver flakes, Bombay ink and nail varnish. Join me, come on this journey and see what you think. Let's have some fun. These are the paints that I'm going to use today. They are a good old mixture of everything really. I've got, they're all acrylics of course. Unusual for me, I know, but I just thought that we'd try something a little bit different, okay? And there's a whole range of different makes and brands and all sorts here. It doesn't matter if you want to try whatever you want to try, see how it feels, it's what's right for you. I've got a black, this is Mars Black, and this is a lovely green. I really quite enjoy this particular brand. This is, let me turn it upside down so you can read it. What a numpty I am. This is Liquitex acrylic, and it's heavy broad body, and it is lovely and juicy and soapy and soft, and I find that I can use this very easily without having to put too many products with it to make it more malleable. So I like this one very much. And I have this is quite exciting. This is an interference colour, so it shimmers. It looks white when it comes out of the tube, so here it is, but when you hold it to the light and you move it, it shimmers green. And they do this shimmer in all sorts of different colours, in pinks and purples and blues, and they're really quite lovely. And for what we're going to do here today, I'm not going to use a white to lighten things, I'm going to use this. And the gold here, this gold one, this is Finity, Winsor & Newton, and it's an antique gold. And I just want to use this to pull out some of the highlights on the texture of his eye, that's all, on the scales. So just those colours. Now I did want to show you another brand that I like very much, apropos of nothing, but I just thought that you might be interested to see. These are lovely. I really like these. This is Sennelier, and it's called Abstract, and it's lovely to use. It's in this plastic pouch, and you just undo this and squeeze your colour out. It's so easy, no waste, no mess, and you can just fabulous. I like them very much. And again, that's a nice soapy soft colour. It's lovely. Like them very much. I just thought I would show you those. I will also today be using some inks, and I'll explain why in a second, but these are the colours I want to use. I'm going to go for this gorgeous orange. I have a red, so kind of crimson carmine red, and then I've got this yellow, bright yellow, three really bright colours. And let's face it, to be honest with you, if you had those two, you can make your orange anyway. I'm just being idle. And here I have a brown, a sort of mid boring colour brown, but we've got uses for this. So I've got those 4 inks. You'll also laugh, don't laugh too hard, with nail varnish. Nail varnish, I'll explain later. But where we're aiming for is we want to just get rid of that. Thank you very much. What do you think you're doing? Showing off in the way. I've got my little palette knife here, little springy palette knife, and I want to just draw out the shape of the dragon's eye. And all I'm using here, this is a piece of mount card. It's a scrap of mount card, no use for anything really, no good to man nor beast. But for me, you see, it's fantastic for this because it's not going to warp, it won't cockle, I can lay it flat, I don't have to worry about taping it down. It's just super easy to use, very, very good for this kind of mixed media and for acrylic. Don't particularly like it for watercolour, but for this it'd be fine. I want to just draw out my eye shape. Here is my tear duct. I want a tear duct because I've got plans for that. That will all become clear. And the bottom of the eye, we just come along and then it goes up, just like our eyes do. Our eyes do that. If you look at them, you'll see. And then here for the top, nice big loop to the eye like this, and it comes down to meet that. Okay? Close off the tear duct. This is a ball. It's an eyeball, so the tear duct shape is like that. Okay? And then we want a lovely big circular shape in the middle here. I'm going to go for, try and make it as rounded as you can. I'm going to go like that. All right? Nice big eye shape. And then I want to come in here and I'm going to just give the outside of the iris an outline. And you'll be thinking, well, what's that for then? If you look at your eyes, look at your husband's or your wife's or your children's eyes, we all have this darker colour to the outer edge of our eye, and or some people it's lighter. And this is called your limbal ring, and it gives your eye a lovely kind of edge and a focus. We want to stick with that. I'm going to keep it. And in here I want to produce this dagger shape. That is going to be my dragon's pupil, just like a cat. All right, so this lovely shape here. And with that, I thought to myself that I know we can use all sorts of things like texture paste but I was trying to think of ways to make life easier for you, because if you don't have those things, just to go out and buy it for something like this is ridiculous. But if you're painting acrylic, I bet you an awful lot of you have got gesso, haven't you? I bet you have. Therefore, I thought to myself, if I use this, it would be a good plan, because then you would be more likely to have it in your cupboard. This is just dead cheap artist gesso. And normally you'd use this on this kind of substrate so that you can give yourself a good texture and a good coverage before you start painting with acrylic. But what we're going to do here today is take this. If you don't want this all over your plate and in your way and making a mess everywhere, I use bottle lids. And these are dead easy. This is Mr. Socks. He loves his cat milk. And as a consequence, we've got plenty of these, and I use them for all sorts, for white paint and for adding bits and pieces. And for this, in this instance, oh gosh, this is going to be fun. I want to do it so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to put my gesso in there, because then I don't have to worry about it being everywhere else. When I'm finished, I just throw all of that in the bin. Job done, bosh. Okay, easy. And what we want to do here now is think about the textures and the shaping of this eye. Just want to bring it down so that you can see everything. There we are. I think that's all right for you. That's it. Let's start with the basic shape of the eye. So we'll have some of this, and this is squidgy. There's no two ways about it. I'm not messing about with you. It is squidgy. It's soft. It's like working with creme fraiche. I think that's the closest analogy I can get to, really. Yes, creme fraiche. Make sure you do build it up, because it does flatten somewhat as it dries. So if you want a good ridge line, go for it. And I've got a good shadow coming in from the window at the moment, light coming in, and the shadow, you can see the rise on what I'm doing. So that's quite good at the moment. And I want to come along the bottom here. So lay it in, so load up like this, and then come in and farm it in. imagine you're icing a cake, all right, with soft butter icing. There you go. Because it's like butter icing. You haven't got quite as much texture as you would with royal icing, ladies. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? And just dab it so that you get that rise. Okay, coming back a bit more on there. That's lovely, look at that. So you can see that from the shadow that I've managed to produce. And now I want some radiating lines out from the eye. So I'm going to start this side. So we're loading up on this side, the right side of our... So I want to do some of that. And you can give the impression of scales if you want to by coming in and doing this. And we're going to do some of that down here. Let's do some of that down here. Like that. And that will really show up quite nicely when we get round to painting it. And then I want to put some lines out through here. Do you see these wonderful textures that you can acquire just with this simple bit of kit? And I'm going to come back through there and just give him more of a ridge line around the eye. If you want that textured, come in just like you would again with icing on a cake and lift and do that. All right. So that gives us a really decent bit of texture. All right. So that now can go in the bin and it's gone and we don't need to worry about it. And all I have to do is just wipe this clean. Job done nicely. Okay. Now what I have to say to you here is this is not going to be the one that we're going to paint, of course, because this here is soaking wet and that takes a goodly amount of time to dry. I found that with the others I'd done as a trial run, this took over 24 hours to dry. It takes a long time. It would be less in the winter because I would just nestle that on top of a radiator and you'd be okay with it. But for today, that now has to go away and be left alone somewhere where the cats can't sit on it. Because we all know about that, don't we? And here's one that I prepared earlier. You can see that it sinks. So this is what I'm saying to you. Do make sure that if you want to have a good texture on there, you need to really ladle it on to start with. Don't be frightened of it, okay? Is everybody all right so far? Am I making sense? This is good. This is good. What we need to do now is start thinking about how we're going to paint it and what we're going to do. And the reason why I've got all these interesting bits and pieces here, I want to paint the middle, the eyeball, with the inks. And the reason for that is purely and simply because I want them to dry quickly and I don't want to mess around with having to wait for a thicker acrylic to dry. These will dry more quickly. And I want to make sure that when I go in and I put one colour on top of another colour on top of another colour, this one doesn't move. And the best way to do that is with inks. If I were to go in here with watercolour and I was painting quickly, I could have some issues. We don't want issues, do we? Therefore, first port of call, I'm going into this eye with the yellow. And I want to just come in, and I'm not going to put it in any dish or bowl or whatever. I'm simply coming in with the ink. And I'm using Bombay ink here, everybody. It's Bombay India ink. Love it. It's bright, sharp. The colour does not fade. It stays, it remains. It's Dr. P.H. Martin's since 1934, apparently. Or was it 1830? I don't know. I'm not worrying about that. What we're going to do here, I'm going to first of all just draw my eyeball in because of course you're not going to see it otherwise, are you? So quickly, do that, do this, and here is the dagger shape of the pupil. That's it. So first thing I want to do is come in with my yellow and I want to paint the whole shooting match. Come in, pop that in, and then we're going to let that dry, and it won't take long to dry at all. This is the joy of using this particular product. So we let that dry, that can go away, job done, sorted. Then whilst that's drying, let's do something else. I want to come into the corners of the eye, into here, and I've got the red and I have the brown. And what I want to do here is just take a teeny bit of the red, little bit, drop it in, water, dab, and then smudge. Just a little bit of light red in the eye there. I want a teeny bit here as well, in that tear duct, like that. And then I want to take the brown, and all I'm going to do with that, I only want a little bit, look, I'm going to drop it in up there and up here, just to put that bit of shadow up there. Water, dab, come back, blend, blend. You have to be quick, because if this dries, of course it dries and it's permanent. So we need to be aware that, you know, we've not got all that much time with this. And then I want to take the brown neatly and I'm going to just lay that around my limbal ring, just to give myself that darker outline to the eye. Alright, just like that. That's what I'm going to do. And then the brown can go away. I shan't need that anymore. I shan't need that. But what I do want is to come in with the orange. Oh, I love this colour. No, no surprise there, is there? You know me and orange. I'm not wearing it today. Must have had a funny day. And I want to come in there and I'm going to put that in there and that in there. Rinse and dab quickly and come into the colour from the middle of the eye to just soften and blend that. So we can still see the gorgeous yellow, but we're now seeing the orange around the outside as well. And that's the orange done, so we can put that away. So as I say, if you don't have this colour, all you need to do is mix your red and your yellow and you'll have that lovely orange, no problem at all. Whilst we're waiting for that to dry, I can now come into these corners for a little bit more shadow. And for that, I'll bring this over here so that you can see it. Just going to pick up the teeniest dab of this Mars Black because I want some grey, and I'm going to put the grey in there and I'm going to put the grey in here. And again, rinse and dab, come in and soften, and you always come in from the side that's clear. So however cack-handed that is, that's the way to do it. Don't go into the colour and pull it out, it makes a mess. I can't do that, I really genuinely can't do that, I make a mess. I want a bit of dark in under there, rinse and dab, and this time we come in from this side and we just soften and nudge and budge that. There you go. So we've got this shadow now ready in round that eyeball. You can see it's shaped. What do we do about this red? Oh, this is a nice colour, look at this. I want to come into that, and again, round the edges here. Ooh, it looks scrummy. Not as wide as the orange. And then I'm going to rinse and dab and come in from this side and soften. And nothing will move underneath. This is the joy of this acrylic. And then into this side, round like that. Ooh, and you've suddenly got this lovely curved, rounded iris. Look at that. From light through to the darker colours. Perfect. So all of the inks can go away. Now we start splashing some paint about. Let's take the brush that I was using there was just a number 6. It's a Rosemary & Co. and it's just a sable brush. That's all. Nothing. Well, sable is pretty amazing, but rosemary's aren't as amazing price-wise as some of the others. Trust me, I love her brushes. Such good value for money. What I want to do now is use this. This is a lovely flat brush. It's a Pro Art, and it's what they call a half. So that's the size of this, 1/2 inch, you see. And this one, I'm going to use this now for my background. Please don't be too excitable about this. We want brush marks because it's the brush marks that are going to give us the texture. We're going to start with the darker colours. So my starting point with this would be to take the black, and I want to run that around my corners, because any picture, it's a really good plan to have darker corners so that you frame your work. It kind of frames your work. So in there. And now I start, so all I've done is just rinsed it. I haven't actually cleaned my brush. This is the green. So start feeding that in and sort of bring it over to meet the black. It's a lovely greenness. So through to there. And as I say, brush marks are cool, fine. And if you get any impasto work, that's fine too. I just wanted it smooth there on the eyeball. That was my main aim. So that's around the eye. And now I want to go back to the black, because I want the black to be all the way around here. So make sure now that all of that gesso becomes black. Pull it out of it. Pull it into that green. Around here. Can you see what I'm doing? Yes, I think so. From looking at my screen, I think you can see me well enough. So I'm coming round there like this, pull it out. And again, be a bit abstract about that. I don't want you to pull it out neatly. You have my full permission here to be scruffy. And that is my tear ducts there. Right? So that's all my black. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do here is, now I do want to rinse and clean. Try and do that without moving the board too much, because I want to come into this lovely white. This is all still wet, and now I'm going to mix on the board effectively. So pull it out, and again, just brush strokes. Want to see the brush strokes, want the texture into here. And of course this beautiful colour shows up so nicely on the darks around the edges. So let's have some in there. There you go. And being an interference colour, that means that it interferes with the light and the refraction. And so consequently, when you move the work around, it shimmers, which really does give your work an edge. There we are. So are we happy with that? Do we all feel that we're content with that we're getting somewhere? Whilst this is wet, something else that you can do if you'd like to. I'm just running over the other side of the studio and grabbing some silver leaf, because I forgot it, because I'm a numpty. This is Cosmic Shimmer Gilding Flakes. Do not sneeze. And we can take, let's get some static going. We can take a bit of shimmer, and this is silver leaf, and we can just pop it on. And, oh, that's a big bit. I don't want it to be too as big as that. All that. It sticks like to a blanket, but I'm telling you, if you want it to stick, it's not having any of it. There you go. I'm going to put a little bit there. Because of course I don't need glue. Acrylic effectively is a very good glue in its own right, so that will do quite nicely, thank you very much, just for a bit of silver leaf. That's fine. And I am going to put the lid back on that because I know how that plays out. Oh, there's a bit fluttered out, look. It's funny, silver leaf is the kind of thing that you say to students, oh, we're going to do a bit of gold leafing today, and everyone is terribly excited about it and they can't wait until that part of the day comes for a lesson. And then, of course, the second you get this out and you start working it, it's a nightmare because it goes everywhere and it doesn't do what you expect it to do at all. And by the end of the afternoon, everybody's saying, oh, I'm going back to gold acrylic paint. Been there, done that. Now, my darlings, my lovely people, what I want to do now is come in and lay this in here. And your choices are, if you want a white highlight, just as we are, you can put white in a minute. You can, if you want to, leave the space so that you have a yellow highlight, that it blends. We will put the white highlight in afterwards. What I want to do here is pick up my black, and I want to come in and just lay in this fan dabby dozy pupil. Edges of it nice and sharp, nice and sharp. This is our dragon and he has got his eye on you. So there we go. Sharp as we can get it. There we go. Concentration. There you go. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? That's terror, that is. Right. Okay, we've done that. Next port of call is to come in here, and it's relatively dry around here, and we're dry in the white of the eye. I'm going to take a pen, and this is just a lovely uni pen, and it's a 0.2, nice and fine, and I want to come in here and I want to put lines around the edge of my iris, and I want them all to radiate in as though that was the middle. So imagine where the middle is, and I'm not taking them right into the eye, but I'm going to come in and flick through here. And again, this will give you this, I'm just going to tip it, everybody, because I can't draw a straight line like that. And this will give you the radiating lines in from this little boy's, I'm sure it's a male, iris. So just pull them in like that. What we're going to do in a minute is go right round that limbal ring again. There we go. So I want to come around here and just outline this to tighten it all up and smarten it all up like that. And then what we're going to do is come in and put some veins in it, because we do have lines and marks in our eyes. So I'm just coming up through there, doing a bit of that. Forks, everybody, fork lightning, okay? Not too many. And again, they do radiate in the same way. I know these things, you see, I know dragons. Listen to me. My husband laughs at me. We're driving around the countryside and I say to him, did you see that unicorn in the field? And he says to me, it wasn't a unicorn, you idiot, it was a horse. No, it's a unicorn, but you can't see the horn because you're not a believer. It's simple. Here we go, look, in through here, and just a few little veins up through there as well, and through here. And this is why we like the ink for this job, because it's dry. This is all still tacky, but this is dry, and that's the joy of it. It means that we can carry on with our picture and not worry too much. There we go. It makes him live, doesn't it? Goody, goody. Now, next thing to do is to take the white paint. I'm going back to my white here, and I want to use that for my highlight. I'm going to lift a brush full of that neat, if I can get away with it, and I want to put in a white blob in his eye there. Let me put some more in, like that. And how about one that we kind of fade out a bit, so we can put that in, rinse, get rid of the drip, and then I would come in and just blend that side. And it looks as though maybe he's looking at a window. That gives the impression that it's square and it might be a window. Next thing we do, we take the white again and we want to put some highlights across this red, because that will make it look glassy and wet. So if we come in here and I run that right across through there, like that, and nothing will move. This is the joy of it. Rinse, clean brush, dab, and you come back. Sorry, that's my ring on the plate. And we blend, and then let's do on the other side as well. If you find that this is too pasty, do this with just neat white paint. That would work very well. Let's try it. I don't have a white acrylic on me at the moment, but I've got white. This is the SAA's white watercolour. And of course I can use watercolour at this point because everything else underneath is stable. Just going to pull that round. So we could do that, and I could come back and I could just do that on the tip of that, and maybe a little bit there and that. And I'm just going to, and it gives us this clarity, makes his eye look as though it's shining. That's where we want to go with that. Okay, pleased with that, that's fine. We've put our highlights in. The next technique I'd like to show you is the idea to put the highlights on the scales around his eye, and that's not terribly difficult. I tell you what I did do. I got this out because I wondered if you felt happier. This is a wider pen, another permanent pen, a different type. This is a Faber-Castell and it's a Pitt Artist pen. And with this you could, if you wanted to, if you felt more in control, you could have used this pen to actually draw and colour in that iris, the pupil rather, if you'd have wanted to. So that's doable, all right? I just thought that I'd get that out there so that I could show you that technique. But what I want to do with the gold now, take this here and I want a slightly fatter brush. So this time I'm going in, this is an Inscribe brush and it's a number 8 and it's a nylon brush because I want something that's quite springy and bouncy. Okay, and what I want to do with that is load it up with gold, again neat. I'm not going to use any water. I just want, and I'm loading the whole brush, the length of the brush, because that's what I'm going to use. And if I move that aside, we're going to use, hold it right up here. We're not controlling it now, we're not doing this, we're coming up here so that we can lay it flat, because what we're going to do is this. And this is what will give you all the glorious textures that you've put in with your gesso, and you will just be picking up all of that. Oh, look at that. Oh, just love it when a plan comes together. I'll lift this up in a minute so that you can see it more clearly. There we go, and I'm going to bring that through there. Oh, that's the tractor going down the lane. There's always something whenever you want to be quiet, isn't there? There we go. Look at that. I mean, that is just fab. I'm going to lift it up a little bit to the camera so that you can see how that's worked. This here is fabulous. Really, really pleased with this. So that, and you can see the shimmer maybe on the lovely green that I've been using, that white green. It just shines and shimmers. So that's fun, isn't it? I like that very much. I do like those paints. Work much better, of course, when you use them on dark. You don't tend to get too much, you know, colour out of it otherwise, too much shimmer. But if you put that on a dark paper, oh, it's fabulous. Now, madness reigns because here we have gems. These you can buy from the range and from Hobbycraft, and they're just little stick-on gems. I use them on my scarves, I use them on my artwork and my paintings. And here we have a bottle of nail varnish, and this is glitter nail varnish. Don't look at it in the shops and think to yourself, oh, could I use that on my fingernails? You don't need to worry about that. Can you use it in your art and crafting is the main question. And this one's really rather lovely because it's all sorts of glitters. So if you can see that there, it's all different glitters. And we're going to use this now on our work. Okay, we are going to have a brush full of that. Let's make sure I pick up plenty of goo. And down here I just want to lay in that. It'll give you shine. Alright, so it'll shine for you. And it will lay in all these little bits of twinkle which make life so exciting. And you can put that wherever you want to. Now you see, if I was working on a watercolour and I maybe wanted this eye to be shiny and bold and to glow, I wouldn't think twice about getting a clear nail varnish out and painting it over my pupil to make that bit of the painting shine. It really works. But this, of course, is also very good quality glue. And if I put that in there, that is into the little tiny tear duct, I can then get hold of one of my gems and I'm going to lay that into the tear duct like that, and the nail varnish will stick it. You could also, if you find a teardrop shape, put one down here. That would be quite exciting as well. But that is how I paint a dragon's eye, and it's such fun, isn't it?